I had sunscreen on, so I did all right. You know, that's all.
Good evening and welcome to the Board of Selectmen meeting for May 19th, 2014. Please begin and rise for it with the Pledge of Allegiance.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Can I get an amen?
Great. Mike, I'll turn it to you.
Thank you. As this is the reorganization meeting of the new Board of Selectmen, congratulations to Gary and Stu. Another 3 years you've gotten yourself into.
Good job.
And I'd personally like to thank Steve for his chairmanship this year. It's not an easy job, and I think you did a very good job.
Thank you.
as well.
It's been a pleasure working with you guys.
So the first official business is to take nominations from the members of the Board of Selectmen. They do not need to be seconded, so anybody would like to make a nomination for chairman of the Board of Selectmen?
I will nominate Stu Eggenberg.
I'll second. Oh, we don't need to second.
Don't need
Just
seconds.
so used
But
to
you
it.
can if you want.
Just so used to it.
Yes.
The what?
Okay.
I have an extra one here.
I just need that for this. Just-
Do we have any more nominations? Hearing none, I'll close nominations and ask for a vote. All those in favor of Stu Eggenberg being chairman, please say aye.
Aye.
All opposed, say no. Congratulations, Stu, you're chairman.
Congratulations, Stu.
Thanks. Thanks. Is that a 3-year sentence as well?
Gary, you want to slide over at all? You want to?
No, I'm happy.
You still like your
Sure?
corner?
All right.
You know,
That's like your rocking
Happy
chair
to
corner, right?
accommodate.
So now that the chair has been selected, the new chair will assume the responsibilities of running the meeting and take nominations for any other officers, and we normally elect clerk of the board. So we'll,
All right, so,
if you want to take nominations for clerk.
all right, thank you and good evening. Thank you, gentlemen, for your vote of confidence. I would entertain a motion for a chair, a nomination for, for clerk of the Board of Selectmen. Or a motion for a clerk.
I'll nominate Gary Fowler. I don't know if you want it or not. Just
How's your scribe doing?
I did it 1 year before with Dave, yeah. There wasn't a lot to do.
You have to sign bonds.
I will do it.
Okay.
All right, do I hear a second?
Second. There's no second now.
We don't need a second at all? Okay.
Just if there's
So
no more
used to it.
nominations, we can close the nomination.
All right, we'll close the nomination, and congratulations, Mr. Fowler.
Oh, we have to take a
Or we
vote.
have to take the vote? Okay.
what are you, rookie?
Yeah, seriously, I'm just stepping in after you, Yeah, so I'll.
All in favor?
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. All opposed? All abstain?
Yeah, I guess I'll abstain
All
here.
right.
Okay,
All right. So congratulations, Gary, the new clerk of
thank you.
Board of Selectmen. All right. All right, so next agenda here is joint meeting of the planning board to fill an unexpired term to May 2015. So, Harry, good evening. Come on up.
Hi, good evening.
How are you?
Mr. Chairman?
How are you doing, sir?
Very well, very well. Hope the board is as well.
Happy Monday.
Happy Monday. I sit here with Tim Howard, who
Tim.
is currently not a member of the planning board
Welcome back.
because he has, and
You just can't get away, can you?
No, I can't. I'm just having so much fun up there. I can't get away from
I'm
it.
gonna get a psych evaluation. He's coming,
Right.
he's coming back
We
again.
all need one,
Yeah, no,
including you
really.
guys.
Yeah, you know.
I'm the only member of the board available for tonight's meeting.
Okay,
So
We need
my
5 on
understanding
this
is
board?
that 5 members covers it.
okay. Anybody have any questions
Well,
for,
the point is, currently, there's how many members on the planning board?
4.
4, and we have 5, that's 9. To have a quorum, to actually have the official vote, you'd have to have 5. Just so that everybody at home understands
Great.
what we're doing.
And prior to the meeting, according to general law, the planning board did notify the select board of a vacancy.
okay,
And after they've been notified, you shall hold an election within 7 days to appoint somebody to that vacancy.
Okay.
And that's why we're here tonight.
okay.
With that in mind, Mr. Chairman, if I may, I would like to nominate Tim Howard to the vacancy on planning board. Term to expire May 10th, 2015.
May 11th, election day?
Election day or the day before? Your call.
I think you just have to
Whatever
say,
whatever
to
you printed
fulfill
out.
the unexpired term.
However you printed it.
Just to fulfill the unexpired term.
No, it is,
Well, it's
Harry's
not,
correct,
though.
it is
It's
until
only-
the next regular election.
Right.
So 10.
There's actually 4
10 or
years
11,
left.
whichever is
Right,
most
then you'll run
appropriate.
for
I
that,
stand corrected.
physically
Thank you,
run
Ken.
for
We'll see.
Election day is the 11th.
Almost got you, Tim.
Okay,
Depends on the psych evaluation.
I'll second that. I'll second that nomination.
okay,
Not, Mr. Chairman, I think it should be a roll call vote.
okay. Is there any discussion in the meantime? No? All right,
I think it'll be in good hands again, you know.
Absolutely.
yeah,
Appreciate the time.
yeah, thanks for stepping forward.
Well, thank all you guys for doing what you do.
I appreciate everything you put
You
into
have way
it.
more responsibility
Yeah.
riding on you.
All
And
right,
It's
so,
extremely important because Tim has been sitting on some.
been there a long time.
Been there for 10
Open
years.
hearings.
Yep,
And
Yep.
the open hearings, well, with the Mullins Law, need to be decided by the people that heard them.
okay.
And there's not like a tribe of people beating down the door.
Yeah, right, exactly, okay. So, we take a roll call vote?
Yes, please.
All right.
Surface, yes.
Eggenberg, yes.
Smith, yes.
Fowler, yes.
Locatilia, yes.
All right, it's unanimous.
Great.
Welcome, thank you. We
Thank you.
appreciate your service.
Absolutely. The merry-go-round is now complete in terms of the movement of all the people, so.
Boy, the
Thank you.
timing was so tight on this because of the
Yeah.
fact that we had 3 people out.
Well, appreciate your flexibility on everybody's part trying to make this work, so.
Yes, so glad there were 4 of you here tonight.
Yeah.
Thank you very
All
much.
right, good night all.
Thank you.
Good night,
Congratulations, everyone. Do you need signatures? I'll give you mine now.
All right, next agenda item is Pratt Hobby Shop, a proclamation, 40 years in business, so I'll read the proclamation, we can send it around for signature. Whereas Peter Pratt, owner of Pratt's Hobby Shop, 20 East Main Street, established his shop in 1974, and since that time's been providing service to the town of Georgetown for 40 years. And whereas in the time he has been an involved and dedicated judge of 20 years for the Pinewood Derby and has organized and featured remote control racing weekly in town. And whereas Pratt Hobby Shop is a home to New England's modelers and remote control enthusiasts and offers gas repairs and lessons on airplane flying and building. And whereas in 2014, Peter Pratt and Pratt's Hobby Shop are celebrating their 40th year in business. And now, therefore, we, Stephen Smith, C. David Surface, Philip Trapani, Gary C. Fowler, and Stuart Eggenberg, Selectmen of Georgetown, do by here call upon all citizens to recognize and congratulate Peter Pratt and Pratt's Hobby Shop for their dedicated service to residents and consumers in witness whereof we have hereunto set our hands and caused to be affixed to the official seal of Georgetown this 19th day of May 2014, and it has all of our selectmen and signatures. So congratulations, Mr. Pratt. We appreciate your time and efforts and continued success in here in Georgetown.
Do we vote on this, or do we just sign it?
You've already signed it.
All right.
Good vote on it.
Could vote.
That's fine.
All right, item number 4 here. We have Mr. Carl Norloff of Rebo Inc. Come on up. How are you, sir?
All right. Doing good. How's everybody?
Good, good evening. If you can set the stage for us, that would be great.
Wonderful. Well, yeah, for those that I haven't met, Carl Norloff. I live here in Georgetown, been here for 14 years. And I founded a company called Rebo 2 years ago. And just to give you a quick rundown on what Rebo is, it's a locally focused social network for people, small businesses, and nonprofits. And that's important, the integration of people, nonprofits, and small business. We've been in pilot for 2 years, and we're just about done. Well, we finished our pilot, and we're beginning to roll out. My interest is partnering with a town, at the town level, to create a collaborative environment for a community. And so the reason I'm here is to get your advice and input into how that might happen, that partnership with a town to use Rebo as a platform for collaboration and a single source of information for the town. In terms of what Rebo does with regard to people, nonprofits, and businesses, for people, it's a single place to go for anything going on in Georgetown. For businesses, it's a new way to create word-of-mouth advertising. So there's a lot of value for local businesses. And for nonprofits, your donors, supporters, everyone you need for fundraising and creating awareness is in one place. So it's an interesting platform for creating awareness and creating exposure. And my interest is, since I live here in Georgetown, is to partner with Georgetown to provide this platform for the town. And I was just wondering, an interesting way of going about it, or a way of going about getting the town engaged at the highest level. And so that's why I'm here. For Rebo right now, like I said, we're in the midst of rolling out. We reach about 30,000 people a month. We engage about 20,000 emails a week we send to our member base, and we're growing. And again, my interest is to create a model community that would be a pilot for the rest of our rollout nationwide. And I just wanted to see what your thoughts were and see if there's something we might be able to work on. We do work with the Georgetown schools. The kids have their school store on Rebo. We do a lot of local promotion, and I think we can bring a lot of value to the town in terms of having a single source of information and a collaborative environment. I sent everyone, or I brought, if you don't have it, I brought a handout. And we have a thing called town groups. So there would be a group for Georgetown. Within that group, we have events, we have media, we have community voice for discussions and topics. We have chat. We have just about anything you could imagine to create a collaborative environment for a town. We do a lot of fundraising. We have auctions. We have contests. We have about 18 different things that we use to create awareness and engage people. And, it's a very effective platform. So I just wanted to throw that out and see what you thought about, a partnership in terms of using Rebo as a platform for the town.
Mr. Chairman, if I may. So for announcements, town gatherings, chili contest this week at the, at the schools, or, the band program's having a fundraiser, or,
Right.
The baseball teams in the state tournament, those types of.
Anything related. It's about local things that matter. You might think that, well, everyone's got, Facebook.
Right.
But the issue there is that, in a busy timeline with uncontrolled content, anybody can create a group. And for Georgetown, there's probably at least, that I can see right off the bat, 5 or 6 Facebook groups. So anybody can create one. There's really no control. So if you want a collaborative environment where everybody can interact, that's kind of difficult. Everything's everywhere. You have Z events. There's a lot of local sites that are out there. There's a lot of places that you would have to go to find information. So within the Georgetown group, which could be public, private, or by invitation, you've got anything and everything going on in town. And there is an example in that handout for the Georgetown group, and you can see all the things going on for school. You might have fundraising for the fire department or the police, whatever, for the schools. We have auctions, like I said, contests. We have deals. We have a whole kinds of things that we could do to create, creating awareness and fundraising for any organization in town. So the idea is that, creating leverage between cause-based things like a nonprofit and businesses and people, it's a very effective way of creating awareness. So to give you an example, we're doing a big auction with antique stores, and they're going to auction off 5 items each. We have about 20 stores involved. We picked a local nonprofit, And they're gonna put in their items at a base price, and anything above that goes to the nonprofit. We can do those things all the time for any organization. So it's a very effective way of fundraising, which, you know, fundraising in town is very difficult. You know, it's very fragmented. There's a lot of organizations looking, you know, for support financially and for time. You know, there's only so many businesses in town that could effectively, you know, provide any kind of support financially. So what we do is we look at a bigger scale. You know, it's not limited to Georgetown. We do things across many towns that could benefit the Georgetown groups, you know, because of our reach. So it's effective, but it's anything going on in town.
So would from an operational perspective, would each group have like an administrator that would go up and post? Or how does the content get cleared?
The content is, everything's moderated, but it's completely self-generated. So the community has access to the group. If you're in the group, you have access to post things. So you can post events, you can post announcements, you can blog, you can, you know, do whatever within that group. The group has notifications, so if somebody does something, everyone gets notified. You can do surveys, you can do all kinds of things that engage the town. So I know last time we talked, I think last time we talked about it was during the override, about potentially doing a town-wide survey. You know, it's that kind of things where you have that reach, but anybody within the group can post things. And it could be moderated if you want. So if you have, you know, sticky situations, you don't want just anything posted.
Right.
It could be moderated, and we can filter things.
Especially something like that, if it's endorsed by the town, to have a survey on an override is just against all the, kind of against, you know, what we're supposed to be doing.
Well, if you want input, I mean, I know that like, for instance, for the override, there was the meeting at the high school in the cafeteria.
Right.
You know, when
something
you're
like
trying
that.
to get input from
Right.
the town, you know, you're getting I know, I counted 30, 40 people that showed up for the meeting, but if you really want to get a town-wide, result, you know, it's one way to do it. If you posted something in the group, everyone's aware. Anybody can create a topic. So if you look at the group, there's a topic for the Education Foundation, one for the band parents. So anybody can create a group or a topic within the discussions and create, you know, any kind of collaboration that you want. So, but the idea is to engage the town on local things that matter. It's not about the clutter of Facebook and Twitter and LinkedIn. It's about what's going on in Georgetown. It's about how do we engage the businesses and the nonprofits working together to create value.
So, Mr. Chair, question. So, it sounds like there's a lot of overlap, let's say, with wickedlocal.com. That does a lot of that right now. And again, I don't pretend to know what's the same and what's different. But I guess, just as a thought, in terms of picking one, I mean, I could see making standard data available out there. But to pick one over another, or to pick one as an information source, I think we'd have to talk about that, because there are similar services out there, and again, maybe not identical, but there's overlap. So, you know, maybe it's us making our data available, and I'm not sure what we're to both services right now, and other services that are similar, so that, you know, because really the other part is really free enterprise, where you're attracting businesses and consumers to participate. But in terms of government involvement, you know, in terms of picking a source, I think we have to understand, you know, if there's similar sources, not going to call them equivalent,
Right.
that, you know, we'd have to have some kind of evaluation process to pick one, and or make our information equally available to everybody.
Right.
And then it's up to them to gain customers based on all the things that you do.
Yeah, and I guess that's a difference too. It's not about, for us, gaining customers. You know, ours is about community awareness, creating awareness and loyalty and relationships. It's not about, we're not a newspaper. We don't compete with anybody really in our space. For us, it's about creating awareness. So when you take a look at a newspaper where, you know, it's just an outbound, you know, presentation of information, that's not what we do. It's collaborative, right? People post stuff, people respond to things. It's about, you know, just, you know, that engagement. So,
So well, I think that the thing is that's similar, is that all those information sources in essence are competing for is advertising how you drive your business, or?
In a local space in the groups, it's not.
Okay.
We don't sell advertising. What we provide for businesses that join Rebo is creating awareness. We create exposure. So we don't sell, it's not just selling a banner ad or you know, social connections or whatever else people sell online. What we provide is we work with businesses to create exposure, and we do that by working with nonprofits, engaging them with the businesses. So it's a very different model, and that's one of our challenges, is that it's new, it's different, it's not like anything else. So a business engages us as an advocate, not as someone they're buying advertising from. But they do pay, businesses do pay.
So it's like a
be-
membership type
It's a
thing.
membership-based thing,
Okay.
and we work with them to increase their business, but it's based on engaging the community and the nonprofits.
And so does a school system, for example, pay as well too, or is
No,
that?
the businesses pay because they're the beneficiary of the exposure. But for nonprofits and for the community, it's free, and it's
That
all,
helps create the exposure that you're. For the
Exactly.
businesses. Okay.
Give me an example, another example is we took a Rebo business, a pet photographer, and over Christmas, she took pictures of pets. We partnered with Sweet Paws Dog Rescue, and we took 5 dog-related businesses, we put them in the contest, and the nice thing about it is the nonprofits provide the engagement. They tell their supporters about it, they come to the site, they vote, they do whatever, and the business gets exposure, and the nonprofit gets the benefit. They got the benefit from it as well, the financial benefit. So the idea is to work as a town on different things that benefit the town, fundraising, creating awareness about, whatever's going on in town. Really, it's all about the collaboration, not so much about competing for, a space against Wicked Local or Facebook or anything else. It's about, everything from local politics to sports to whatever, it's just creating a single destination. So it's not about somebody just going on to, or sending something in the Wicked Local. It's about somebody engaging and saying, hey, I'm doing this, I'm doing that, or this is what's going on in town.
How would you envision working with the town or engaging with the town on it? I mean, because we have the website. The content, Janet, on our website, is that hosted by various or updated by various departments and everything?
Yes,
It is.
the main pages
Yeah.
are departments post things too.
So is it like a Rebo/Georgetown? Is that sort of how you would find it?
Well, Georgetown would have its own space,
Okay.
For, Georgetown based, but there's so much more to Rebo. There's, in terms of why people go there, we have classifieds, we have auctions, we have contests, we have all these things that the community's doing anyway. And where we attract a lot of volume, live entertainment, events, community-based things, but then we have the private space, which would be Georgetown, for local things that matter. So people are there for a lot of different reasons, and that's the beauty of it, is that, it's a destination, which is different from, maybe the town site, in terms of traffic. The people in town go there as a destination to find out, what's going on at the school, or what sport event's happening, or what's happening at,
Or
the
whatever.
restaurant, or whatever in town.
So how would you envision working with the town directly? I'm still trying to.
The big thing is just, as creating a community resource, for instance, for fundraising. Working with the town to look at a bigger picture in terms of fundraising as opposed to these incremental efforts that everyone's doing. We have programs for that. It'd be, nice to be able to work with, with the town to be able to change the way we do fundraising. That's one aspect. The other is, how do we communicate, issues within town? How do we engage people, doing that as well, on whatever level. But the idea is to get we've got 3 components. We're engaging businesses and nonprofits. What we want to be able to do is create a complete model, engaging the people in town, the businesses and nonprofits. And I was just looking for an interesting way of doing that, of getting the town involved. And I thought if it came from the higher levels, as towns partner with their local chambers. Georgetown doesn't have a chamber, but the intent is, civic side of it plus the, supporting local businesses. So, we'd like to fill that role.
Mr. Chairman, if I might, to me, I see that this is more, maybe to look at the organizations that are in the town and are up and running, like GAA, rather than the town per se, because and I'm not trying to look at this in a negative light, I'm trying to look at it as a positive
Well,
light.
yeah.
But how do you control the content and having it misconstrued as coming from the town? Where anybody has access to me, it seems like a Yahoo group, a much more advanced Yahoo group, because we, you know, in my neighborhood, we have a Yahoo group, and we put things up there, you know, watch out, the coyotes are around, and, you know, that kind of
Right,
stuff.
right.
Anybody have, a good plumber, and, you know, those types of things. And we use it for a community, it works
Right.
pretty well, there's only, 45 members, but
Right.
it's coming from, and there's only two people that have control of posting permanent things like files and financial statements and stuff like that.
Right.
But anybody can go and post a topic. They could write, we hate Dave, his house, his grass looks gross.
We told him to
You know,
stop doing that,
you know.
Dave, just so you know.
His yard looks terrible, or
Right,
whatever it
right,
is.
right.
I mean, so I would, and that would be, my fear would be, geez, that's endorsed by the town.
Right.
From the town side, where it's somebody's personal opinion. If it would, I like the idea of being able to control the content like our own website.
Right.
We should be utilizing our website a lot more, and people should be looking at our website a lot more to find out where town-sponsored things are coming. For instance, we're having a budget meeting, or, on a day, all day on a Saturday. Those are the types of things that we would want to get out.
Well, see, that's the thing, is that, it's all user-based, or all user-generated content, so if the town had an event like that,
Right.
The endorsement basically would be the fact that that's where you'll find it.
Right.
You'll find it here, and based on that, we'll make sure everyone's aware of it,
Right.
so you've got a broader reach. So if it's just a device saying, look, we're gonna, yeah, we have our website, but if we wanna be able to engage the town, you have your own space, the town government, where you post the events or results of things that you're doing. We'll take that and make sure everyone's aware of it, because that's what we do, we create awareness.
So it'd almost be scraping our webpage to pull stuff off, because to Dave's point, we can't have our name on there and then free-form content that.
Right.
Yeah, I mean, you would, whoever, is the creator of the content here would be the one, managing it on Rebo. It wouldn't be like anybody would just post it. So we, everything's moderated, so we could control that. But it's just a,
I'm going like
Well, see, that's the
Poor
other concern,
Janet
is
over here.
the time and effort, the man-hours to
Right.
manage this type of a project. And again, I don't want to approach it from a negative standpoint, but most of the information that we publish is public knowledge.
mhm.
And you don't need us to endorse Rebo. I think Rebo can do that on their own. It's just, like Steve says, scrape all of the information, unless we called you up and said, and we do this with the newspapers, hey, the election is next week, we want to make sure that gets in the paper.
Right.
There may be certain, I don't think there's enough content coming from the town government to justify, using something like Rebo, when you guys can do it on your own.
Yeah, I mean, in terms
Scrape off
of,
our website.
yeah, in terms of what you're doing, yeah,
Right.
the content is.
It's the
is maybe minimal.
GAAs, it's the Georgetown Education
it's all the different
Foundation.
groups, right?
It's all those groups. I think you want to talk with
That's who you
those
wanna get.
groups.
Well,
And get them signed on, rather than town government,
Right.
because I don't think we really publish that much other than what's on our website, to be honest with you. It's not a social place where we're deliberating on, there's no blog on our website, right? I hope
Right, no.
No.
Well,
So,
I guess the point is you have all these, agenda-based scenarios where you have,
Right.
they're all doing their own thing, right? You've got the PTA, you got the GEF, you've got GAA, you've got all these different organizations. And I was looking at, well, geez, it would be nice to have one consistent way of sharing information,
Right.
so I don't know if towns have like a communication committee where they work on, promoting, that inner,
Yeah,
communication between the
we
different
really don't
groups.
have any jurisdiction over, like, the GAA or, the
Right.
PTA, any of the PTA groups, or, I think is maybe starting to talk to some of that leadership to pull those groups together.
So
Where
that's
it's
a
more
good
of a
idea.
social, you know what I mean, it's more of a fundraising, more
Right.
of a, whereas the town, we send out our tax bills, that's how we fundraise,
Yeah, well, I was just, I was interested in working at the town level to create the first socially connected town.
Right, right.
And you're right, so maybe the way to go is to interact with all the leaders of the different groups, get them together in a room and say,
Right.
okay, this is something that we can do where we can, create awareness in one place.
There's
That's
somebody
like
you wanna
herding
look up.
cats.
Well, there's somebody you want,
Well, that's why I'm here,
Yeah,
because
no, I understand.
I've been
Looking for
working,
the head of the funnel, it's
I've
like-
been working with these different groups, it's like, steering a steamship,
Yeah.
it's like
Yeah.
very difficult.
Yeah,
have you talked with Scott Jones at all?
I know Scott.
Yeah, he does
I mean,
Georgetown Fund.
He does
Yeah,
Georgetown Fund.
there may be a beginning where, we can, he can help you start to pull some of the groups together,
It's
where
a-
everybody's
part of it,
communicating.
a lot of that's, same with Wicked Local. They don't like us because we do a lot of what they do, but we do it better. You know, you look at, you know, Scott, does Georgetown Fun, he sees us as, he won't post my events,
Hmm.
because he sees us as a
It's
competitive
competition, yeah.
competition,
Yeah.
which is not what we're about, but that's how we're perceived.
Yeah.
You know, with the newspaper, newspaper won't even, if, you know, we try to do a nonprofit auction, you know, announcement in the newspaper, they wouldn't even post that.
Mm.
Which is our challenge, is that why we couldn't say, pick you and say, okay, here's
Right.
our communication channel, because there's others that good, better, best, similar, or not, you know,
Right.
that's a problem for us, because as a government, we can't just, unless we did an RFP or a similar type thing and made a specific choice and all that stuff, you know, our challenge is that we're neutral.
Right.
And again, I think, you know, if you're gonna focus on continue to create a centralized place, we have data that could contribute to that, that's
Mhm.
publicly available. And so I think that could be probably our best contribution. And I don't know how readily available it is to pull from our website, whether you can scrape it or not, but I think that's.
I mean, I couldn't get to the events, there was nothing, I mean, it just didn't go anywhere, so I don't know. So, I mean,
Like the calendar section's
calendars,
always full.
yeah.
The calendar section's
Always
always,
full.
always
Okay.
full. That's always full.
But that's like meetings and things, you know, government meetings,
right.
pretty much.
There's a
It's-
community calendar we have, but
Yeah.
it doesn't have a real lot, because if we don't, it's
If
getting
we don't have
information.
input,
If
yeah, if
we
we
someone-
don't have
If
input.
someone doesn't send us the information, or
Yeah.
Yeah, that's a
sometimes
challenge.
you get it from them pulling permits for the
Yep.
events, so
Well, we
they'll
can
throw
create
it on
a-
there, but I don't always know of.
Right. So within the group, we could create a topic within the community voice that is, you know, just taken right off of your calendar.
Mhm.
And that
Absolutely.
way, at least people, while they're there doing other things, they
Yeah.
have access to it.
Yep.
We'll do that.
The other thing you might look into is the cable committee that runs the TV station here. There are 4 or 5 members on that. They don't meet all that often, but we had talked at one point about maybe getting them involved in doing website content. I know when I was chair of that, that had come up. Might be time to revisit that again. And
Yeah, I tried to get on the spotlight, but I haven't been able to get anybody to respond, so I'm not sure why. But
Gary,
Yes, thank you. Is there a way that what we could get out of this is creating some type of a calendar that we would basically tell all of our boards and committees that this is a resource where they could post things? I mean, rather than him having, as you, Dave, mentioned, scrape it, I mean, they could also post it. We could keep up with it, but it'd be known, just like local newspapers, sometimes if someone takes, Colleen downstairs on the Council of Aging is very good at getting stuff in the daily news when she's doing things, you'll see, because she contacts them. So, I mean, could we at least perhaps let our boards and committees know that this would be another source to contact? It might be as simple as if you're sending it out to one, you send it out to the
Yeah,
other.
include us, make sure it's in there.
Sure.
You know, and I think at least we could possibly start there. I mean, any way that we can get more things out there and known is better. I agree. I mean, one of my thoughts is, yes, does this end up getting controlled by people with their agendas? But if you use it more as a calendar, at least, I think that's a start
Mhm.
that we could go to. And,
Because all sources can report on what our calendars are. And so traditionally, you go way back when you really only had the newspaper. And now that's gone digital, and now there's other sources. So I think getting the same basic information out to multiple sources, or, again, that's why I really want to know if you could do it from the web, because that makes it easier for everybody. But I agree that the more communication, the better.
Yeah, he mentioned the meeting at the high school, and I'm a sitting selectman, and I wasn't even aware of it, so.
Yeah, I mean, that's, you know, there's so many different places to go.
Different
you know,
ways to
it's-
get different things out.
Things get
is-
lost.
Yeah.
All right. Well, I appreciate your time. I
Yeah.
just wanted to throw it out there, you know, you know, we're on a mission to change the local space, and, you know, I'm happy to be here in Georgetown.
Yeah, I think definitely talk to the committees and various organizations in town. Certainly talk to the cable committee folks, see if there's any things going there that make sense, and all that good stuff.
If
Yeah.
there's anything we do to help, you know, you guys promote whatever, just let us know.
Okay.
Great.
All right. Thank you.
Appreciate your
Thank
time. Thanks.
Thanks, Carl. Have a good night.
You too.
All right, I'm gonna shuffle this a little bit. Bob, you wanna come up? Mr. Morehouse is here for a Camp Dennison one-day liquor license for Camp Dennison Golf Tournament dinner, I believe, correct?
Does he know Carl from Rebo?
Yeah, Dr. Carl.
I'm representing the Friends of Camp Dennison. As you may know, we are sponsoring a fundraising scramble golf tournament on June 7th. So we'll start off around noontime at Raleigh Country Club and get back to the Camp Dennison where we're going to serve a dinner. And we want to serve wine and beer with the dinner. We'll probably get back there somewhere around 3 o'clock, and then we'll serve dinner. So we need a license for serving beer and wine.
All right. And your event's June 7th, 12 at Raleigh Country Club.
Yes.
$100 a golfer, 9 holes, cart, dinner, beer, and wine. Sounds like fun. All right.
I'd love you to have you join us.
Yeah, I'm thinking about it, so, let's see what my schedule looks like.
Yeah, the schedule's filling
I'm
up
gonna see
already.
how Mike's back is doing, because we'll put a force on it.
Yeah, Mike, you might want to do some stretches, huh?
I've been doing them since Easter.
Good, well, you know.
So who's doing the serving? Is that all the trustees?
I'm sorry, Dave.
Who's doing all the serving of the alcohol? Is the
We'll have a
trustees?
tip server.
Tip server?
Yeah.
Okay, that's my question. Okay.
In this case, are we having to require our police detail? Looks like 100 in attendance, possibly.
Yes, Donnie,
Yeah,
signed
we're
it.
gonna,
We're all set?
we're gonna sign up about 72 golfers, and then there'll be other people coming.
Oh, I see it
to
at the
dinner.
bottom now, okay.
Yeah.
All right.
Mr. Chairman, I make a motion that we approve a one-day liquor license for Camp Dennison for June, where are we? June 7th, 2014, for the event to be held at Camp Dennison at roughly 3 PM.
There's one caveat, if it pours, we can't hold it on our rain date, the 21st. We'll probably do it at Raleigh Country Club, but we'll still apply and pay for the license.
From 2 to 7
Second.
PM.
All right, any discussion? Gary?
Do we need additional insurance where this is a committee, a subcommittee of the town?
No,
They're insured by the town, right?
Yeah, they're already, it's them, right?
it's covered under ours.
Thank you.
All right. Any other discussion?
Sounds fun.
All right, all those in favor?
Aye.
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 You are in business, sir.
Thank you very much, and congratulations on you two being elected. It was a hard fought.
Competition was
It was an uphill battle, I mean, a downhill battle the whole way.
Thank you.
Thanks, Bob. Take care. Good seeing you. All right. We have Fire Chief Beardsley here for a staffing discussion or issue. Gentlemen, how are you? Hey, Russ.
How are you?
So, set the stage for us.
Well, first thing I'd like to do is I would like to extend a thanks to the Georgetown Building Supply, the Georgetown Savings Bank, and Bianca Sausages, and also the citizens that showed up, including yourselves, that showed up on Saturday for the fundraiser over at the Building Supply. It was a great day. Fortunately, the heavens looked shining upon us, and the rain parted as things were really getting underway.
Yeah.
And I know those of you that were there, they were some pretty good sausages.
Those were some great sausages. I
Some good food.
thoroughly enjoyed mine.
Yeah, no, it was a great day. We were very fortunate. It was nice, because the money that was raised, some of it will go to the fund that's been set up for the Boston Fire Department for the 2 firefighters that were killed in action, and the rest will be coming to the fire department.
Great.
So with that, yeah, what I wanted to chat about, actually, Russ, if you could just hand this out. This is just some general information I thought you would be interested in. Kind of give you some statistics as to what's going on. The fire department is, in all ways you want to look at it, we're at a crossroads right now as far as staffing is concerned because of the amount of activity that's going on. what I've provided you with there are several sheets that talk about the fire side as well as the ambulance side, because I would like to also talk a little bit about the ambulance rates tonight if we have time. But just to kind of show you where we've been sitting with the amount of responses that we have. You can see in 2010, we had 1,304 responses, and this is calendar year. And in calendar year 2013, we're up to 1,434 responses, which is roughly about a 10% increase. Pretty much what it comes right down to is there's more and more calls for service, whether it's requests from alarm companies or regular fire calls, medical calls, elevator emergencies and such. We are getting more and more and more calls. And just on a year to date, since January 1st up through the end of April, I had Russ pull together some statistics for me. And you can see, we took 2012, 2013 and, for the same periods of time. And you can see there's a lot more requests for responses from the fire department. And it's not just, daytime. That's, what was kind of an interesting part of it, was that our evening shifts are seeing just as much activity. Right now, we staff from 6 a.m. to 4 p.m., basically from the town per diem budget that was developed back in 2008. And then starting at 4 in the afternoon until 9 p.m. on Monday through Friday, we staff that with the revenues from the ambulance fund. And then as well, we staff Saturday from 8 a.m. to 9 p.m. and Sunday 8 a.m. to 9 p.m. and then holidays also from 8 a.m. to 9 p.m. with 2 people in the station, because the business has been brisk. In fact, we just recently moved into Sunday night staffing we used to staff 8 to 4 on Sundays. And we just recently, about a month ago, moved over to increasing it to 9 o'clock at night, because the amount of activity, medical aid calls and fire calls that we get between the 4 p.m. and 9 p.m. hour it's unbelievable. We'll be out 3 or 4 times just in that window. In fact, I think this week was the first time we had one run between 4 p.m. and 9 p.m. Other weeks, it has been nonstop. It's just been 3, 4, 5 calls in that hour of the evening, which is kind of a weird time. Mike and I were talking about it last week, and it's just, Mike looks at me and says, "You got to be kidding me," and I'm like, "No." It's just odd that hour of the day seems to be a busy time for us. Now, the other thing that, of course, this is leading into is personnel, trying to get, Coleman to come back and such. Even with our per diem shifts that we have, we've had 35 times since the 1st of July, the beginning of this fiscal year, where we've had less than 2 people on duty for firefighters. There's even was a couple of occasions where it was myself and 1 firefighter. That makes for pretty slim pickings if we have something happen in town, like the fire we had on Charles Street. Just trying to mount any kind of a fire attack is absolutely impossible. And we won't go into a building with only 2 people, because we're not going to do that. You don't have one person go in by themselves and 1 person man in the pump. So we're pretty much at a crossroads right now. We right now are staffed by roughly about 12 people that out of the 35 that we have that take care of our shifts, that take care of the staffing part of it from 6 a.m. to 9 p.m. every day. And the thing is, the concern comes because quite a few of the guys are young fellas. Several of them are in college. Some are going off to graduate school. We have one in I don't know, medical school or pre-med school, whatever it is.
Pre-med.
And we're going to lose them. We know that. That's a fact of life. And the problem is the people that we're getting in behind them are not people that are around daytimes. And that's where the concern is. Right now, we have a call during the daytime. It used to be we could be, pretty much guaranteed of getting 1 or 2 people to come back on the callback when we would have something between like 8 AM and 4 PM. We don't see that anymore. Those people are not around. Their regular jobs are taking and keeping them there. Fortunately, we do have several people, Russ being one of them, Chuck Savage being another one. They work close by. So like when they heard the fire on Charles Street, they were able to respond from their jobs. But they were there long after the first apparatus got there. And those first few minutes are the critical minutes as to whether or not we're gonna have a save or we're gonna have a loss. And, but that's, you know, for your regular everyday calls that we get, you know, I know Russ is not gonna leave his job at Chesterton to come for a medical aid or to come back for an alarm or anything like that. And the problem that we're running into is, you know, we don't have a backup core of people because they're not there. The demands for training and the hours and the time and everything it's becoming too much. And it's a shame because it's the requirements we have at the state level, federal level and such. The demise of the call and the volunteer fire service is here. It's taking its toll, not just here in Georgetown, but across the nation. And we need to do something to ensure that we at least have the staffing consistent. We're coming into the summer season now, and I already have it figured. I'm gonna lose 2 to 3 key people because they go off on weekends to their summer camps. And they usually take off on Friday afternoon, so from Friday afternoon till Monday morning, they're gone, and they're, you know, like the three key people. I get one of them sick, or they go on vacation, you know, everybody else, and it's gonna be slim picking all summer long. So, you know, in looking at trying to do kind of analyzing, you know, what our strengths and everything are, and as it shows there on page 1, you know, we have a good core of dedicated people. The 35 people that are there, I mean, they are here. You know, they are here, but more than half of our firefighters are EMTs. And where we've got, you know, coverage from 6 AM to 9 PM, that portion of it, the ambulance enterprise fund picks up the cost on that, which is great because we've been able to increase our staffing to the town with no impact on the town budget. Now, of course, our weaknesses, as you can see there, increased demands by the public for service calls. Like I said, our service calls range from a wide variety of just anything from pre-inspection for construction. It's, you know, master boxes have to be taken care of, alarm problems, looking at building plans and reviews. That all takes time, and it takes skilled people to do it. Our increased hours that are needed for mandatory training. We just can't just show up at a call. The other night, last Tuesday, our training was on hazmat. And now we haven't had a hazmat call in some time. But where were we the next morning but on a hazmat call? And we've had one, actually we had one back in April up by Mr. Surface's house. So, you know, this small percentage of staff are carrying our duty shifts, and this results in burnout. Because you can only push people because of calls, because of training, you can push them only so far, and you start to get burnout. We're losing people to graduations, jobs, job changes. A couple of people have recently changed jobs, gotten jobs. But, you know, we also have some opportunities that are out there as well. We have the potential with our ambulance, not at this time, because it's economically not the wise time to do it, but to move us into advanced life support. That, again, will increase the services that we can provide to the town. I say not at this time because the amount of money that it would cost us to invest in training and the equipment, I can't see a break even that soon that would make it beneficial for us. Our increased service demands for EMS does increase our earning potential for the enterprise fund. So the increased runs that we go out on is helpful because we're getting the insurance money in return to help offset that. Now, some of our other opportunities, there's under the Obamacare, I'm not sure if you gentlemen have heard this, but they're looking at this community-based EMS that's going to be taking place, where there will actually be, they're looking at the fire departments as providing, almost like in the days of when the doctor would come to the house, they're looking at the EMTs and the paramedics to perform that service in an attempt to try to keep costs. I see you're looking at me very, yes. They're gonna have them doing the house calls. It's kind of in its infancy stage right now, but it's gaining feet very quickly around the country. And, you know, the thing is, that's something we want to be in the forefront of getting our people trained to be able to do those services. And that's a great opportunity for us, you know, that's out there in the near horizon. Some of the threats that we have right now, there's almost minimal any funding from the state and federal resources. We were able to get funding for the stretchers. I've been somewhat told kind of informally that another request that I put in for electric hydraulic rescue tools has been granted by the feds, but I'm waiting to get the formal word down on that, but that's, you know, worth about $25,000, of which we only have to pay 5%. So that are threats to us. The government mandates far outseed the ability for the fire department to meet the requirements. And it's not just here. You know, this is something that is being faced all over the place. And another threat we have out there, our insurance company curtailing revenues. Under the sequestering, there has been a reduction, a slow reduction in the insurance benefit pays from like Medicare and Medicaid. We're seeing that at our level. So before, on a Medicare run where we would get like, say, $367, we're now seeing about $340 some. So that all is having an impact. Where it's going to end, who knows? The insurance companies right now are fighting tooth and nail here in the state to the healthcare insurance companies, that is, are fighting tooth and nail to try to get a mandated billing level that instead of what we charge now, they'll set the rates. And that's something that it's a pitched battle at the state government level right now. So that's kind of where things are right now. And if you'd like, we can talk a little bit more about that, or if you want to just kind of go into some of our statistics right now on the ambulance, that's the third page in your handout there.
So, Mr. Chair, can I ask a question? So, I guess if we even jump one beyond that and said, do you have a number or plan, you know, with a kind of approximate budget or whatever form you're looking at that says, okay, this is what it would take to fix the problem for the next 3 years or whatever the right time frame is?
Well, one of the things that we have right now, Steve, is within our budget, we do have, I feel, a means, cash-wise, I call it, not benefit-wise, but on the cash side, where I think we could fund 2 full-time firefighters. Because of the amount of money that is there, I think we can handle that and still have a third person to be paid out of per diem. That would be a good resolve right there. Where we see this going in the next couple of years, I would see us at a point where, and that's one of the handouts in there, talks about the different shifts on page 1 there. We're seeing a lot of activity between the hours of 9 p.m. and 6 a.m. Now, even though, you know, you look at the numbers there on page 1 where it shows in 2012 we had 37 calls, 2013 41, and so far this year in the same period of time 51. The problem you run into when you're going out 1, 2, and 3 times a night, and you've got to get up at 6 o'clock in the morning to go to your job in Lynn or some other place, that is what becomes the drain. Because if somebody, you know, we'll say, you know, somebody has what, you know, might be considered a minor medical aid call to us, but they call 911 looking for help, and, you know, people are like, I want to get up for that. And, you know, and it's not that people don't want to perform the service, but when it's your family, your job, and the fire department, that becomes a balancing act. That's tough for a lot of people to meet. And that's, you know, just the way today's world is.
So I think that, you know, one thing as a board we've harped on is 5-year investment capital improvement plans, trying to not get surprised. And so I think it always goes in cycles in terms of which public safety group is, needs this, or which school, or that, and so I think it sounds like, given two major changes, the growth rate and the change in that you have a revenue source now, that it's time for that 5-year plan to really make sure
Right.
that you have the resources that you need, because these are not small jumps. These are significant changes. So that would be my only suggestion, Mr. Chair, is how do we get to and work with the fire department to come with a 5-year plan that we can then, because if it's going to be about more money, and I'm not saying it is because you said you had some, but I think we always owe it to the residents of the town to say, okay, we're not just making a request here. We have a plan. This is how it unfolds. This is the request that'll be in the future, and this is why we're doing it. And you guys, I know, and police are very good at showing plans and why and how, and you have statistics and numbers, and that always helps quite a bit.
Mr. Chairman, Chief, we have 35 call firefighters. Are we at our maximum?
No, our maximum is 40 that we cap it at.
So, my question is, I'm struggling to understand, of that 35, why we only have 12 carrying the shifts, because they have jobs outside?
Yeah.
So but you said you're gonna lose, what, 3? You're gonna lose 3 firefighters, 3 people to other jobs?
Do I know who they are?
No, you're gonna lose three people, right?
Yeah,
You said,
yeah.
so 3, and you've got 5 open spots, that leaves the possibility for you to pick up 8 new people, right?
Well, no, they're gonna remain on the fire department.
Okay.
They're just getting.
We're gonna lose them from the
more
day
more
shift.
permanent,
lose them day
yeah,
shift.
losing from the day shift for more permanent jobs.
No way to recruit an additional 5 people, because you can go up to 40.
We're constantly on the recruit. Yeah, that we never let the recruiting drive down. We're
Right.
constantly out there looking. It's just, and that's the thing, we just, 3, right? Yeah, we just put on 2 explorers, and one individual had transferred from the West Newbury Fire Department and moved into town. So we picked up 3, but we're gonna lose the 2 young men by the end of the summer, because they're going to college.
No, one's going to the Air Force.
Well, Air Force, yeah. Air
Yeah.
Force and college.
And so to refresh my memory, and for the general public, you have to live in town to be a firefighter.
18 years old, and we look at, if you're out of town, like, if you're
How
out of
far?
town just over the line
Just over
kind
the
of
line.
thing, we'll give consideration.
Right. So if you went and said, look, rather than the per diem guys, 2 per diem guys, well, 3 per diem guys now, right?
Right.
Or women, so men,
Yep.
ladies, whoever.
We
I
definitely.
mean, I say
we
guys.
have ladies.
I say guys, just as a general, very generic. So what you're saying is you wanted to convert 2 of them to a full-time, permanent position, so that those people can come in and say, all right, I work, 4 days and then off 3, whatever that schedule is, so that they know that this is their job now,
Yeah.
rather than, okay.
So one of the problems that we run into, especially with day shift, and it's been a chronic problem. Fire prevention is probably one of our biggest outreaches that we do. And it comes in many different forms, but everything works around the fire codes. Every time we've gotten somebody trained, we've gotten them certified, they've gone to training, gotten everything done, we lose them. We lose them, and not that we lose them off the department, but they find employment elsewhere that will, give them a steady paycheck. And
Those
that's,
revolving doors that we know is there. We know it's going to happen, but
I mean, we have
we're not
60,
we're not getting the people coming in the other
If
door
it's the
right
same
now.
per diem, see, my only thing I struggle with a little bit, if it's the same 12 per diem people, aren't they considering that as their job anyway? In other words, it's almost permanent, in a way, if it's the same 12
that's,
people
well,
rotating
that's kind of a
through.
mere technicality.
Right,
I mean, because we have, we have somebody like Rusty, he works on a career fire department.
right.
So he'll work a 24 there, and then he'll come here
Yep.
and work, 2 or 3 days in a row, and then he goes back, does another 24.
Right.
We have another young man that he works in fire prevention, and he pretty much picks up like sometimes Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, Friday
Right.
for 8 hours. So it's all over the place, because it depends upon what other part-time jobs they're picking up on the side.
And at this point in his life, he's 26.
Yeah.
So the insurance starts coming in now.
Yeah,
So
he loses his
we,
parent.
we know that he's looking for full-time employment.
Yeah.
Not necessarily with us, but he needs to get off his parents' insurance.
Well, I mean, I just
These are the
struggle
things we
with.
have to
Right,
fight with all
but
the
I think
time,
you're still
yeah.
gonna have the problems whether you make them permanent positions or per diem positions.
Well, if you make them permanent positions, you're going to be assured you have those two people plus, one per diem. See, right now, there's really nothing if all three people want to turn around tomorrow, call in sick or take a vacation or whatever. I mean, even though they signed up for the shift and, morally, that's the wrong thing to do is to call in sick, but they could. There is nothing that ties them in place. You all know, you all
because
work
it's per
full-time
diem?
jobs.
Well, I mean, that wouldn't stop them if they were permanent too.
Yeah, but at
So I don't
least
get-
the
that's-
investment
That's what I'm
of,
struggling with.
yeah, at least the investment of time and energy that you're putting into them to get them trained on, we have like 64 commercial and industrial establishments in town. We're required each year to get into every one of them. We are working with a program right now, trying to get into the multifamily locations, not the apartment houses, but the multifamilies, and get them under some kind of a fire safety inspection, so that the occupants of those places are gonna be safer. So, there's a lot of stuff under the surface that we need to get to, and we're missing it.
So
The
what's
school-
the
schools are
solution?
quarterly, the
Yeah.
Ballpate Hospital's supposed to be
Quarterly.
quarterly.
Yeah.
So what's the solution that you're proposing? I mean, I think this was a discussion for FinCom during the budget process. Did you have this exact conversation
Yeah,
with them?
we did have a
And
conversation
what was
with them
the,
about it.
what was the outcome?
Well, where we left it at that point was it's something that needs to be considered, and that was about as far as it went.
Right.
I think it's a long road to hoe. I mean,
Yeah.
I think we're initiating conversation to get things started.
Right.
To try and figure out where the town wants us to go.
Right, because I think it's both FinCom and Selectmen, because I think it's more than financial, I think it's also structural change.
Right.
So,
Absolutely.
I think it's a combination, it's not saying, hey, our structure's fine, but we need two more people, we need the budget. There's a structural change that you potentially see coming, and what that structural change is, and the impact on the long term.
And to make sure that the public has their public safety personnel showing up when they call.
When,
And that we have our own guys in line to be safe for ourselves too.
yeah. When this whole thing first took root, 2007, I think it was, when it first came up, even at that time, the study that was done, and I have no idea who did the study, on the business plan for that. They looked at the per diem at best being funded like that for about 2 years. Well, we've been going now 6 years and are making this work. And I just, like I said, my job as fire chief is I'm supposed to keep the town safe and project. And this is what I'm seeing. I'm seeing this concern. And, I hate to see this happen because, this is a long traditional thing. Going from a call department to now having full-time people, even though we're only talking 2 full-time people. It's a big change. It's a psychological change for the department.
So are you here to give us a heads up on it, or?
Yeah, I've given you a heads
Sure,
up on
control. I
it.
mean, we don't make that,
No,
the internal
no,
outreach, that's
but
you, I mean,
Right,
so we don't wanna be micromanaging that piece of it, as long as you have it within your budget, just similar to what, Don Cudmore did, Chief Cudmore did with the police department, did some realigning and, made some shift changes and stuff. So this is more of a heads up, that
Right.
you're gonna be making these changes, and you have the money within your budget to handle this.
I recently gave Mike, because when we met with the personnel board there, we gave
Right.
Mike, last week, I think it was.
I was there.
No, but last week, we put together the job descriptions for full-time and for, part-time or, call firefighters. So that, the next steps on that is just to get that approved and everything, so we can move forward with it.
Does that cost us any more in terms of pension and,
Oh, yeah,
Okay.
a lot of burden.
is that already in the budget?
Covered in your
Without-
budget?
Okay, so that's what we're
That's-
getting to here.
Yeah.
Is if you go ahead and make this move, we're gonna have a budget issue right off the bat.
Yes.
Okay. So my question is, again, I wish that this was discussed further and there was a decision made during the budget cycle, the budget season, because, I mean, that wasn't that far long, that wasn't like that was 2 years ago, that was only,
I think we're kind of
Couple months
looking
ago.
more like a year
Yeah,
out. I
we're,
mean,
we're looking at, we're talking about July of next year, not July of this year.
oh, okay, so you're talking
July 1st of 15.
15,
Yeah.
okay, so you're, okay,
Trying to work towards
I
the
got it,
goal,
okay,
yeah.
so I was under the
Yeah.
impression
wanna
you were
bring
gonna
this
go
up in
right ahead with
December.
it.
Oh, we
No,
never
I
get,
got-
we never get this stuff a year ahead of time, that's
Yeah,
what's.
right, well, that's what, yeah, that's what you really.
We've never seen
yeah.
this before.
Oh, okay.
That's why I'm saying, I'm sorry.
Somebody being strategic
We only
here,
agreed on a
wow.
budget 3 weeks ago, and all of a sudden there's a change. Okay, so this is.
This is for
15,
July of-
16.
Yeah, right,
All right, I
fiscal,
got you.
fiscal
Okay.
16.
All right, yeah, well, listen, we should, you know, with all departments, we should be planning ahead and,
Yeah.
you know, preparing for this.
Yep, so that just, we wanted to give you the heads up on that, as, we said, we don't want this to be a surprise. I mean, we're taking the first steps right now with the job descriptions.
Got it.
To get them, approved and in place, and then I'll just, then start hammering out the financial end of it.
Yep, got it.
That'll be coming up.
So how much more can we, I know that you've been funding some of this, the coverage with the ambulance funds. And kudos, because when we first talked about the ambulance fund, you know, my two big things were A, have enough money in there to replace the buses when they, you know, when they break down, and there we go, we know one's broke now. And start to generate some revenue to staff the fire department's budget with the ambulance, you know, with the money that we're making, the profit that we're making on the ambulance fund. I mean, that's utopia, right? And so we've accomplished some of that, that's what you're telling me.
Yeah,
Well, I think one of the goals we have spoken about is the money that's in there right now per diem wise could basically fund the full-time
Yeah.
2 or 3 people, whatever we end up being able to do. And then the ambulance budget can probably staff the ambulance personnel,
like we're doing right now.
like we're doing basically right now.
See, what we want to be careful on is, like I said, we've expanded our service, so we have services available till 9 o'clock every night. Now we've got the replacement of ambulance 11 that's on the near horizon. So with the money coming out, for that, the impact on the enterprise fund for the staffing, now I want to be able to see, and that kind of leads into the next discussion with the ambulance rates. How fast can we recover that money? Because the other ambulance, 12, will be probably about, knock on wood, cross your fingers and all that kind of stuff. Hopefully we can get 2 more years out of ambulance 12 before we have to replace that. And that's kind of a toss of the coin as to whether or not we can go the inexpensive route and do a remount like we're doing with 11, or whether we have to go with a full replacement. That, time will tell on that, how the rest of the truck holds up.
Well, we don't want to be spending our per diem money at the detriment of the depreciation replacement. Because we
That's
talked,
right.
when Jeff and I and you guys, we sat down, I'm talking, when we first started this.
Yeah.
Is that was, we wanted to recapitalize and make sure that money was there, so that when these things break down,
And it-
there was
and it is there.
And that was our deal.
Yep.
If this thing turns unprofitable,
Yep.
we close it down.
Yeah,
And I'd stick by that.
And that's why we're taking very careful steps in this whole process. That's one of the big reasons why going with the remount, because
It makes sense.
where that's 92,000, don't hold me to it, but I know Middleton just got a new ambulance and they were well over $200,000. And you can buy an ambulance as cheap as 140, 150,000. It's like anything, it's how many bells and whistles you want to include in it and equipment. So that's why we want to be careful, how we do with this whole remounting work, because this will be kind of an experiment too. We've never done a remount. Supposedly they work well, and fortunately our roads are pretty good around here, so we're not like, going over rough roads and, nasty highways that take a big wear and tear on the suspension of a vehicle. So hopefully that'll all work out good. And like I said, just depends upon how ambulance 12 holds up for the future as to whether or not that can be another remount or a full replacement.
As long as we're putting a reasonable amount of money away,
Oh, yeah.
without
yeah.
you just,
Our goal.
spending it on the per diem and not putting away the reserves,
Yeah.
because that would be a
Our
problem.
our goal initially was
That'd be a
to
big
have
problem.
about 40,000 a year in retained earnings that could be put aside for that. And so far, you know, with some good, you know, restraints on what we spend our money on, we've been able to do very, very well along that line. But that, like I said, this kind of leads into the next discussion, which you know, we will need your approval on, will be rate increases. On, what's it, page 4, I think it is, on your, the ambulance statistics. Just want to kind of give you some numbers as to where we've been since January 1st, 2012. It's amazing when you think in just like 2 years, we've had 1,253 responses, of which 1,094 were medical aids, 70 motor vehicle accidents with injuries, 80 motor vehicle responses where there was no injuries, and 9 other calls for medical assistance. So we've transported just under 1,000 people. This is as of the end of April. We've transported almost 1,000 patients. And you can see the breakdown, over half of them going to Anna Jake's, next Merrimack Valley, then Beverly, Lawrence General. And the other hospitals that we go to include Beth Israel Deaconess, Mass General, Portsmouth Regional. So we really get around to a lot of places with our ambulance. Now here's where the dollar and cents part of it. Now our gross billing since January 1st of 2012 has been $1,343,000. That's our gross billing. So when somebody gets in, that's the bill that we send out. Our contractual allowances, which is your Medicare and Medicaid patients, is over $500,000. So right off the bat, 38.8% of our money gets taken away because of the contractual allowances. And what that means is when we signed on with Medicare and Medicaid to accept them as the payee for a patient, we have to accept what they give us. So Medicare, for example, pays $367. Well, you know, we can bill $1 million, but they're going to pay $367, and we are not permitted to go after any more money.
So that becomes bad debt at that point?
That basically becomes, yep, that becomes
Can you
bad
go
debt.
after the person as a private bill?
We cannot private bill them. We're not permitted to,
Basically
because we're
a
accepting the
discount.
Medicare and Medicaid. What's it, David?
It's basically a discount. Bad debt is a
Yeah.
little different. Bad debt is
Yeah, I
something
was gonna
that
say, it's
somebody
not bad
actually
debt.
does owe you.
Right.
So that's
This-
kind of the discounted
Billing
amount.
adjusted revenue.
Right.
Yeah,
Yeah.
this was actually one of the numbers that even the consultant that came in and did the study undershot quite a bit. You know, and that's just the way it is. You know, that's where your medical aids are, but he even undershot the number. So you wind up with a net revenue of 821,000, which is, you know, 61%, and of that, we've collected just a little bit over, just a little less than 77%. So we have a non-collection rate of about 13%, which again is higher than what the consultant, we figured we would be somewhere around the 80 to 85% range. He came in with pretty much about the same thing too. So we're, you know, we're getting less money than what we were hoping for. And then we have begun, Mike and I have been sitting down on a couple of occasions, and we work with a company called First Financial Resource, which is basically a collection agency. And so far, we've written off over $11,000 to them, and we've gotten back about $2,200. So we've gotten something back. So that's better than nothing. But you know, we lose a third of whatever they come back with. That's a standard in their industry. So on the next page, just kind of gives you, it takes those numbers and sort of breaks them down by the years, and you can see for look at the very, very last column there on our collection rate, and you can see we're basically hovering somewhere around 23% loss rate. And, you know, just to kind of give you some idea of, the impact of changes in costs and everything. Price of diesel for a gallon was $4.13 in 2012, and it's now about $4.30. So we've seen over 4% increase just in the cost of diesel. Our medical supplies have gone up anywhere from 6 to 10%. We've actually seen some of our medications like albuterol and have gone up even more, and that's, you have to buy them. So, these things all have an impact. The revenues that aren't collected, expenses that go up, those things all have the impact on us. And if you go to the next page, what we're looking at is we haven't increased our rates since we took the service on. And one of the things that the consultant had talked about at that time was really taking 6-month looks at our rates and increasing them accordingly. And right now, you can see what I did was I took what we're paying right now, that's and we do what's currently called like an à la carte, and then compared what Medicare pays, and then I took the Andover Fire Department, Topsfield Fire Department, and North Andover Fire Department that all run ambulance services. And I put in what their current charges are. Actually, those are 2013 charge rates for their calls. Now, one of the things, and also at the bottom of the page, Comstar, who's our billing agency, they provided me with what their top 50 billing agencies, what they're charging in those areas. And what the insurance companies are moving us towards in the industry is a bundled rate. Right now, we bill for somebody to get in the truck. You can see the rate there on line 1. That's for them to get in the truck. If we use oxygen, then there's a rate on top of that. If we have to do an airway, there's IV therapy and so forth. You can see how the rate will build on that a la carte menu. Well, what Comstar was explaining to us is that the insurance companies are becoming more particular now when they're looking at the rates that were being billed, and they're actually, well, we don't feel that rate is, needed oxygen. We don't feel that they needed an airway or whatever the case might be, or an IV was unnecessary. And they're actually pulling those away and then billing them the difference on that and what their reasonable and customary charge is. So what Comstar is encouraging everyone to do, and I thought I even read this as something even that the feds are looking at, are a bundled rate. There's one rate plus mileage across the board. And that's what they've put in there on their rate form. In fact, I think, did I include?
So, for instance, in the top 50 for BLS at the 1137, that's the bundled rate
That's
plus
the bundled
mileage?
rate plus
Okay.
mileage, yeah.
Okay.
Yep, $30 per mile.
And that's what they're encouraging?
That's what they want us to do.
Okay.
Chief, did you look at what our average income is per run? Meaning, can we just take?
It varies all over the place. It's really difficult. I've tried to.
What's the average? If you take 1,434 runs, what was the 2013
Well, you could take
gross billing?
divide the gross billing by that. So if you looked at,
I think that's important to look at.
if you got a calculator handy.
I'm ready.
If you I'll take the gross billing, 1,343,249
Yep.
divided by,
That 2013?
that's since 2012.
Divided by 1094?
No, because that's the number of medical aids. We can only bill for people that go in the ambulance, so.
Okay, so transports?
961.
Okay.
Yeah, that would be 961 plus 70. So that would be,
It's gotta be a lot more
about
than that,
1030.
though.
Say about 1030, yeah,
Divided by 1,030?
yeah.
The average, what you're billing on that average is $1,304.
Right.
And you
Now,
wanna go to 1,100.
but,
Plus mileage.
Plus the mileage.
yeah, plus the mileage. See, the mileage is, they don't dicker on the mileages.
To the hospital?
Right, oh, yeah, only loaded.
Transports, okay.
Yeah, only loaded.
So what's our run, what do we get for mileage to go to just Anna Jake's roughly?
It's 13 miles, and right now we're
Got a return
billing
trip, too?
$22 a mile.
No?
No, we only get the transport.
Only one way, loaded.
So it'd be $390 at the new rate, 13 miles, right, at $30.
Yeah, it's yeah, yeah.
Was it 1,040, was our number?
So that puts it,
So it's roughly about
Yeah,
that.
that puts it over
1137.
the average rate then, Dave.
Yeah, that's what I'm concerned about.
And the other thing too is, even though we don't run a whole lot of motor vehicle crashes, on a motor vehicle crash, we almost always get 100% of whatever we bill. The automobile insurance agencies pay whatever is out there is what you get paid. It's the Blue Cross and Blue Shields and the Harvard Pilgrim and so forth. Those are the ones that they have their reasonable and customary charge, and that's what they will pay against, depending upon what your, how your policy is. Some people, it pays everything, some people, there's a deductible, it depends on who your insurance company is and what you pay for a plan.
For the auto insurance portion of it?
No,
Or
no,
you're
for
talking about the
regular,
health
regular
side?
medical insurance.
Okay.
Like, like you have a deductible. You may, if you look at your policy, for a trip to the emergency room, you may have a $50 deductible or a $500 deductible.
Yeah.
The ambulance ride may be, in many cases, 100%, 75%.
Oh, okay.
It just depends.
But you were saying for auto accidents, they pay 100%?
Auto accidents are pretty much 100% of what we bill,
Okay.
they pay.
All right. Regardless of the insurance company?
Yeah, regardless of the insurance company. Most insurance companies come through, it's not Commerce, but, oh gosh, I'm drawing a blank on who the company is, because I see their checks all the time. I can see the check, I just can't see.
Amica?
I can't think of the
I mean,
name. No,
that's right.
no, because they all go through, kind of, I'm a
Clearinghouse?
clearinghouse or what,
Oh, okay.
that they go through.
Gotcha.
So you,
And actually, so Dave, to your point though, the average revenue billed is actually much higher than 1,300. Because on 1/3 of those, you're getting Medicare, Medicaid rates, right? So you really have to take,
Getting
you have to take those, you have to take a third.
Exactly.
So you're really probably about, I'm just gonna make up a number, 1,800, let's say, for those rates that you actually can bill on. And then it gets brought down by the Medicare rates to an average of 1,300. So I just, and this is your math, but, making sure that these new numbers net out for you is key, take into account how much you get hit on
Yeah.
those rates.
I mean, where we've seen our costs increase, we're not, nothing has been passed along to help offset our increased costs. Whether it's the mechanic coming in to have it to work on the truck, or whether it's the fuel we put in it. It's costing us each time. I mean, hopefully our mechanic costs will be lowered at least on one ambulance, when we get that
I
replaced.
think the only thing you're at risk for is, if down the road, as time goes on and you stayed with the old system, is that you are getting more and more serious calls, if you know what I mean. If you go to a flat rate, you're not gonna be able to bill as much, hopefully, all the regular calls will offset
For the
what you would have
interventions.
gotten for more serious calls where you'd have to use more resources.
But see,
the
that's
only
also
risk.
where the
How do you
ALS
figure-
rate,
You can't figure that out.
Right.
There's just no way.
Exactly.
But the
You don't know
ALS
what
rate
you're gonna
also
be able
goes
to bill
up.
for.
I'm sorry?
the advanced life support rate
Right.
also goes up along with that. So that's, if you're looking at, on the proposal there, plus what ComStar bills,
Got $300.
that's the ALS rate.
Yep.
So, Mr. Chair, what's the process that we go through to have you change your rates? Or
What we've done before, ComStar sends their sheet over. We fill in what we want for the new rates, and the chair would sign off on it, and we send it off, and then we make it effective whatever date we want to make it effective. I thought this would be a good opportunity to make it effective July 1st.
So for purpose of discussion, then, I move to authorize our chair to sign off on the rates as proposed in the 2.5x, right? Is that the column?
Well, we've got a proposed rate of 2.5 and then 3 times, and the ComStar top 50 is even higher than what I'm proposing.
So which one do you want?
I would like to see it at the 3 times.
Right,
I think that would
so
keep us safe for some time.
Authorize to approve the rates as proposed in the 3 times column as presented.
Second.
Just wanted to do that, get it official, figure out what we were doing here, so.
I do have a request, Mr. Chairman.
Sure.
What I'd like to see is take our existing numbers and plug in the new rate based on the calls
Yeah, see where they
with
tie
the
out.
discount, see what, so that you have a side-by-side number.
You can get Comstar to do that.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'd like to see that pro forma, to be honest with you. Just as a double check, that we're going to this doesn't reduce our revenue at all.
Well, with
Based on
this
the
three
same
times, this 3 times one that we're doing, Dave,
Right.
there will still be costs for all the interventions. That's not a bundled.
The à la carte, okay.
Yeah.
Yeah, no, this is a bundled rate.
Oh, it is?
Oh, okay, my,
Yeah.
This is
okay, I'm
So I'd like to
misunderstood.
see that plugged in.
This is a bundled rate.
With, BLS
Yeah, that
rate.
does- that does
I'd
need
like
to
to
be-
see the numbers plugged in on a spreadsheet, side by side, a what if. This is what it was this year. If we had put that new system in place, the new pricing, this is what the gross revenue would come up with. Take your discount for Medicare, and I'd like to see what that net discounted number is.
Yeah, I'm sure that's.
Side by
I can
side.
talk
So
to
that,
Chief
just you're
Comstar.
doing that double check, just to make
Yep,
sure that,
absolutely.
we're not,
I
you
would
know,
also plug in the
reducing
Comcast top, or, sorry, Comstar top 50. Still in the
It's all
cable.
the same.
Oh, we mean to work with their rate suggestion.
Yeah, just, and the pro forma and look
Yeah.
at it, because I'm concerned the 3X is gonna be lower than you wanna be, quite honestly, especially when you put in the, discount for, Medicare.
Yeah. See, that,
Your
you know,
discount's
that's the big
40%,
unknown.
right?
That's the
Your
full-
Medicare
yeah.
discount's 60% off your rate,
It-
basically.
No matter what our
62%.
rate,
I
I
no
mean,
matter what
no
our
matter
rate
what we
is.
change our
Right,
rate to,
no,
we're
that's
only
what
gonna
I'm
get what
saying.
we're gonna get.
No, I know, and that's why you have to then back it out,
Yeah.
because if you know how many in your runs here you've had for Medicaid, right?
Yeah, I'm sure I can get that.
You
from-
have them in
from
here?
Comstar.
I don't see them on here,
You
but,
should be able to plug in all that.
Yeah.
The reality, this only affects whatever
Private pay.
X% of the actual billables, because you have Medicare, then you have the insurance.
Everybody else.
Insurance, well, then
Yeah.
you have, isn't there ones with the assurance, accepted norms? And then you have ones that will go outside the norm, right?
Yeah, the way the insurance industry, my wife is in the medical insurance, not medical insurance, but she's in the billing side of the hospital. And so she, her and I get into these discussions all the time, and I hope she's not listening, because she'll be throwing something at the TV right now. It's really contingent upon the insurance plan you have. There are so many different insurance plans. When we were first organizing, each day I was getting 2 and 3 different insurance companies. I mean, I have one called like Railroad Workers Insurance. And it's like, how many times am I gonna see somebody, well, son of a gun, I have seen at least one payment from this railroad insurance company. But for every insurance company that's out there, almost in the nation, we need to have an agreement that, okay, yeah, we'll let you, accept our payments and, and go from there.
Right. Yeah, my whole point was that this increase only affects 8% of your billables between all the insurance rates out there and the Medicare. So it's actually, it's not that complicated. It's a fairly complex prediction. The columns are pretty simple in terms of the math, but the key is whatever we're allowed to net bill for that we get full credit for, that this increases our revenue versus decreases, right?
The only thing I'm not sure if they're gonna be able to provide us with the mileage part of it. That's the only thing, because that's kind of bulked in.
Well, we know that's a plus, so as long as,
Yeah.
even if we broke even with the new rates, we
We
know
can-
mileage would drive it up, because that's a
Right.
apples to apples comparison.
The easy calculation on that was, we can look at, like, say we went over 500 times to the Anna Jakes.
Yeah,
We
you
know
can-
that that's approximately
That's true.
13
Yeah,
miles.
you
You
can
know,
plug
you
the
know the
miles in.
runs, you've got them
Yeah.
broken
you
down
can
by
plug the miles in,
location.
that's the easiest
You can figure that
calculation
out.
in the whole thing,
Yeah.
actually.
You can figure that out.
Okay.
Because you've got the runs into where, for the most part. I mean, there's some
Yeah.
that's like when you get down to Beth Israel and however many, you have to split those out, but. Yeah, I would say if you can also, like we say, in the pro forma, add in the, Comstar.
Yeah, I'll
Numbers.
call them tomorrow, hopefully they can, they're really good, they're excellent to work with. Every time I call them with something really stupid, I mean, they come back with, with the information that's, very, very helpful to us. Even when they had a change of management over there, the person that came, in behind the woman I used to talk with, was very, very knowledgeable.
So, Mr. Chair, do we want to hold off on my motion then until we see the comparison?
I would, I think, right? Dave?
Well, these
Let's-
rates wouldn't take effect until when, July?
July,
July
I'm looking at
1st.
July
We've
1st.
got
Maybe
additional
another
time.
meeting or two. Can
Okay.
you pull them together for the next meeting?
Yeah, hopefully that we should be able to do that. I don't see a problem with it.
Yeah, why don't we wait until we get the numbers?
We could also do.
We've
an
got a
amendment.
motion on the floor, but I think we can also make a motion to table the motion, right? Mike? So I
Or we
make, I
could,
would,
or we could amend it to say pending.
Pending, yeah.
Pending the
demonstration
pro
of po-
forma review.
Pending a positive impact on the pro forma.
okay. So I'll second that amendment to the motion.
All right, any further discussion?
So we are voting on it.
We're voting on the amendment.
We're voting on the
Original
amendment, right, that the rates would not take effect until the pro forma shows that is a positive increase.
Any further discussion? All those in favor?
Aye.
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 All right, we have to vote on the amendment? Vote on the original?
Right.
All right, any further discussion on the original? All in favor?
Aye.
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 Thank you. Thanks, gentlemen.
Okay,
Good job,
and,
guys, thank you.
right now, as you know, we're down to the one ambulance. We're working on a plan right now to get a backup in here.
Yeah, because that's hurting our revenue, right?
We already had to give away revenue.
Yeah, we're losing that to Byfield, right? Is it Byfield?
What's that?
We losing that to Byfield, that revenue to Byfield? or who losing
Actually,
it?
it went to Atlantic.
Atlantic? Okay,
Yeah,
all right.
It's because Byfield was with us.
Oh, okay.
All right.
Gentlemen, thank you very much.
Thank
Have a
you.
good
All
night.
right, see you later.
Very thorough as always.
Oh, hey, Chief, would you mind just shooting us a note on what you guys are doing for recruitment generally? How you're recruiting? All right, thank you. All right, warrant to be signed, everybody did that. Minutes, entertain a motion for the January 17th, 27th rather, 2014 minutes.
So moved.
Any discussion?
We need a second, though.
I'll second.
All right.
So just to clarify, was that January 27th?
Mhm.
Just if I may, Mr. Chair,
Hmm?
on page 2 at the bottom, we've gone around on Elm Street a lot, but I've been the one reminding everybody that Elm Street wasn't in the override, so I don't know whether Mr. Stewart, that those funds come from somewhere different. Mr. Fowler stated he thought the funds from an override. I've been pretty clear usually that it's not from an override.
This service did, this one's come from some. This is to do the,
This was, we're talking about the Elm Street project, and I've been questioning, where we're getting the funding for the bond. And many thought that it was in the override, and mostly all along, I've been reminding people that no, it's not in the override, so I think it's stated, unless I'm reading it wrong.
Yep,
I think probably what I stated was that the funds aren't coming from an override,
okay,
so maybe we could just correct that.
yep, are not from,
Gary said that.
yeah.
okay, any other? Any other discussion? All right, all in favor?
Aye.
Aye. All right, I entertain a motion for 4/28/14 meeting minutes.
So moved.
Have a second?
Second.
Discussion.
If I may on that one,
Mhm.
on page 3. I'd like to, and a paragraph about Mr. Greenberg, I would like to strike, and no more articles are written by Mr. Brennan if they do not have the facts. I didn't see that as necessary. I mean, I know we don't minute everything, and everything that we talked about that night certainly is not minuted here. I don't need that and really, the accuracy of the article wasn't brought into question that night. And,
Right, but we can't, strike what Mr. Greenberg stated.
Well, yeah, but these minutes don't state statement for statement about what we all, they're basically brief, how would you describe them? Brief minutes of what happened. And I don't think it's necessary to put that in there. I mean, I think we could have Mr. Greenberg stated why it was written and apologized. He did do that, but as I said after that, I'd like to strike where it starts with "and hope" and then ends with the facts at the end of the sentence.
What's the point of striking it?
I don't feel that just needs, it's what he's stating here. I just don't think that needs to be stated if we're not covering the minutes word for word. I just don't see that as necessary. The man is a reporter, and I think that what we're doing by that is we are minuting something negative about Mr. Brennan, and I don't see that as necessary. If you see it as necessary, then perhaps I would ask that we go over the minutes and make them much longer. I don't think we want to do that.
No,
Well,
but I just think that was
also
a
think we
general.
can accept it is without making the minutes longer too. I mean, there is
I mean, that was the
there's a
general-
third option to say just it's okay. And I wasn't at
You
this
can say
meeting.
it's okay. I'm
So,
asking that it be struck.
It might be helpful if we tabled this to Phil were here, because Dave and I weren't here
Yeah,
for
I'm
this
not-
meeting.
I'm gonna be abstaining anyway.
So I'm gonna abstain, so it might help for,
I wasn't
because I have no idea of the context of the conversation or anything, because I wasn't here, so.
If for a little while it was rather heated, Stu did a good job, though, of controlling things.
Well, yeah, I mean, we can table these, but
Okay.
let's table them because Phil was here and he's not here, and we'll table these. So I make a motion
I'll
to
withdraw my,
your second.
well, my move,
Your move.
yeah.
All right. So what do we have to do?
Withdraw, I think.
Withdraw the motion.
Yeah.
Okay. So
A motion to approve, April 28th, 14.
okay. All those in favor of withdrawing the motion?
I don't think we have.
You don't have to vote.
No.
You don't have to vote. Okay, we're just withdrawing.
And there was no second,
There's no second anyway, I don't
so
think
it's
we
a
did.
dead motion.
Okay. Thank you.
Mr. Chair, I'll move to approve the minutes of May 5th, 2014 as written.
Second.
All right. Any discussion? All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Aye. Okay, correspondence, looks like number 6 is not here, so we'll move over on that. Memorial Day observance information.
Well, Mr. Chair, there generally won't be here if we just have it under correspondence.
Oh, okay. Oh, you're right, it's correspondence. My bad. All right, so, what do we do, read the correspondence, basically?
Well, or summarize it, it's your,
Okay. So we have some correspondence from Scott Paganelli, and it is regards to the town hall fence here. I'll try and summarize this. I'd like to speak with the selectmen to discuss low-cost town beautification option relating to the rusted chain link fence on Central Street side of Georgetown Town Hall. His recommendation is to cut it down and remove it. Currently the fence holds no safety, historical or safety, it's deteriorating, rusted, it's an eyesore. Like to explore ways to remove it at low to no cost and explore replacing the fence with more historically appropriate fence. He talked to the highway department, highway surveyor Peter Durkee to ask him an estimate for cost of removal. And to share the estimate, which we have not received, but it was, what, 50,000 was what we had originally on the warrant that we
well, it's
didn't go for?
Replace it.
That's to replace it?
take
Okay.
it down and replace.
Okay. With a architecturally, or just a regular,
No, there was an
more of a, like a steel,
historically
historical?
appropriate
Okay.
architectural fence.
Okay. So he's wondering if we might be able to remove it using donated community financial muscular resources. I like his thinking. Kind of like the Pond Street fence.
Yeah, no,
Sawzall in the middle of the night, right? So that's the gist of that. And a highway surveyor said there is a bit of a safety factor taking on a fence. You know, there's a 4 to 5 foot drop to the sidewalk and some concern there, but that's all we need to do is cover that right now? Or,
Yes, that's it.
okay. Thank you, Scott, for sending that in. Memorial Day, we have from Doug Dawes, who's the commander of the VFW. The observances for Memorial Day will be held on the 26th, Monday, May 26th. That's this coming Monday, right? Thursday, the 22nd, placement of flags at veterans' graves. 26th at 7 a.m., 7:30 a.m. Ceremonies at the 3 graveyards, and you meet at the Georgetown Park and Ride. And 9:30, meet at Georgetown High School to assemble for the march. And the march starts at 10 and will proceed to the from the high school to the public safety building to the Civil War Monument and ending at Harry Murge Veterans Park. Refreshments and food will be served at the VFW Post 7608 on Andover Street following the observances.
Mr. Chairman, while you're on this particular letter, I had a conversation with Doug. We somehow, in our warrant, forgot to appropriate, I think it was about $2,500 for the replacement of the flags. Somehow that kind of fell through the cracks. So I'd asked this board if we can figure out some way, somehow, to come up with the money for the flags. And I take responsibility for, I mean, it's not funny, but I of all the other things we had on there, we just kind of forgot to do this. And I had promised Doug that we would be looking into it. So if there's a way we can try to figure this out, I don't know. We have money in the selectmen's budget, right? Maybe we can take, maybe do half them, this fiscal year and then half next year. How much money do we, that's available in the selectmen's budget?
I'll have to look that up.
Yeah, I think we get $2,500.
I think it's like two.
It's $2,000.
Right, so maybe
On
we
the
can
budget line.
maybe consider taking $1,000 or something and using that to replace the worst flags that are pretty beat up, so.
Have to see some, we
Yeah.
have some payments that do come out of there for.
Yeah, maybe if we're, if that's authorized, if we're authorized to do that. I just, not for going crazy, right now, but just to think about that.
Yeah, I remember the conversation, if I may, Mr. Chair. And were we looking at a town meeting warrant article for that?
Yeah, I
Or
thought
were we
so.
looking to just find it somewhere in the budget? That's what,
No,
that's the part that's.
We had
not-
some extra money that got collected, remember, during the year?
Yes.
And we were just gonna turn around, I thought that had to be a warrant article based on where it was coming out of.
Yeah,
But
wasn't
I
there
could
a
be
check
crazy.
that came back?
The check goes back into
The
free
general.
cash
Yes.
next year.
Right.
And we took free cash down to $25,000 as it is.
Yeah, somehow that fell through the cracks when all that was, we were
Well,
calculating all that.
Okay, then on the other hand, we've got this cemetery account, but it
For
has to go.
veterans' grave.
Well, what about even some help? I have also talked with Doug, and I mean, they also, they put flags on all the veterans' graves at these cemeteries, and that is also, I don't know the exact cost of that. But does that have to be, I don't know if funneled is the proper word, to the cemetery people, or could that go to the veterans if they're using it to put flags on the veterans' graves at cemeteries?
Well, in the past, the appropriation was 2,000 for Harmony and 1,000 each for the other two
Yes.
cemeteries.
And only 2,000 of that was, I believe, issued so far, correct?
I'm not sure. I'll have to check.
Well, I think the point or the message from us would be, let's try to come up with a solution between now and maybe our next board meeting that we can discuss some way to at least do half them, if we can. And I don't know how we're gonna do that, but, you know, even if, like I said, we have a selectmen's budget, you know, maybe we can do that, or we can figure out some other ways, you know, to get it done, maybe through private donations or something. But we, you know, we need to get that done. All right?
Mhm.
We'll see how generous FinCom's feeling too, maybe we can.
They don't meet until the 16th
Right, so maybe, you know,
of June.
yeah. Any in the reserve fund, what's left in the reserve fund, anything? Is that gonna be getting a phone call? I can see.
Yeah, about $5,000.
All right, so maybe we can, as my mother used to say, patch in.
But there's no
1,000 for
appropriation for flags in the budget.
So we can't use a reserve, we can't use, no, reserve transfer.
But I thought that they have a fund that we have put money in before, so there's gotta be.
There is funds for Memorial Day, isn't there, Janet?
That might be,
Yeah.
I
It's
think-
about $500.
Yeah.
so perhaps we can increase that.
Yeah, I mean, let's think
Yeah, you
about,
could.
let's think about how we can do it, because my opinion, I made that debt, so we have to, we owe them, so we need to get those flags done. All right, that was all my only point, Mr. Chairman, I didn't want to increase the discussion too much, but
No worries.
just get that on the table, we need to do something,
Okay.
all right?
Mike, you'll follow up with us on
I
that
am.
one? Great, thanks. All right, notice from the police chief on accreditation assessment. So Georgetown Police Department's in the process of achieving accreditation status with the Mass Police Accreditation Commission Incorporated. Assessment dates have been scheduled for Wednesday, June 4th through the 6th, where the commission will examine the police department's policies, procedures, rules, regulations, as well as the department's operation and facilities. They received the accreditation in '07, and we were one of 32 agencies, police agencies in the Commonwealth, to be certified. The I can't say that word, accreditation status was achieved in 2008, and the department was only the 5th department to achieve accreditation status at the time. The police department was reaccredited in 11, and reaccreditation will again signify a highly prized recognition of law enforcement professional excellence for the Georgetown Police Department. So, Scott Hatch is the accreditation manager, so folks are, if they want to see that and be part of that, they certainly can talk to Officer Hatch during regular business hours over at the police department. So good luck on that, Georgetown PD. Request from the American Cancer Fund for Children to proclaim June 1st through 7th as Childhood Cancer Awareness Week in Georgetown. We need to take a vote on that. So I'd entertain a motion to declare or proclaim June 1st through 7th as Childhood Cancer Awareness Week here in Georgetown.
So moved.
Second.
All right, any discussion? All those in favor?
Aye.
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 Thank you, gentlemen. Old business selectmen report, town administrator. We have fire chief reviews that we need to do.
You have several reviews you need to do,
Including yours, right?
among them.
Okay.
Police chief, fire chief, myself. I sent an email out to the board, letting them know of I guess we have to clarify what the new personnel policy bylaw says. Because as I read it, it puts the town administrator in charge of making sure they're getting done, but it doesn't go as far as to say the town administrator should do them.
Mm-hmm.
But it does say the town administrator can do what you want the town administrator to do.
Okay.
So if you still want to do the evaluations yourself for the two chiefs, then, you know, I recommend we do it the same way you did it last time, and we do it soon.
Okay.
Mr. Chair, I would recommend, my recommendation is to have Mike put together the reviews and submit to the board for comment and approval, and then have him deliver the review. Not a motion,
We have
just
to do-
my proposal.
We have to do ratings, correct?
Yes.
That's the way we did it last year,
Right.
yes.
So what are you proposing? Have Mike send out like we did last year?
Well, I was actually taking it one step further and have Mike write the review,
Okay.
and then we could review it, and if there's anything we particularly take issue with or want to make an adjustment to, we can address it. And Mike, please comment if you think that's a good or bad approach, but I just think it moves it, again, one step forward in the spirit of the bylaw. And I also believe, I think we talked about it, in the past, town administrator actually did the reviews, correct? That it was
Yes.
delegated by the board, so this is not a new concept.
Up until 2009, my predecessor did them. I think because of my interim status at the time,
Right.
Gotcha.
I didn't do them.
So we're actually kind of going back to the way
It was
we've
done.
done it. And I think, again, it's consistent with the new bylaw, and it still gives us, as the board, final oversight as to, you know, because in essence, we would have edit ability, and maybe we take a vote to approve it, and then Mike delivers it.
What's your thought, your point of view on that?
Well, I work on a daily basis with both of them. You see them once or twice a month, and it's usually in a general meeting setting. I think it makes sense for the town administrator to conduct the
Review?
reviews, plus the new, even though they have, we both have the strong chief legislation, the town administrator now has hiring and firing authority as well. So I think they both go together,
Mhm.
the evaluations along with hiring and firing.
All right, discussion? Thoughts, Gary?
In one way, you know, Stu and I spent about 12 hours together the other day. We did get to chat a bit.
What? Were we
And
getting sunburned?
You know, it's an area where I see things being taken away from townspeople when we turn it to a town administrator. But on the other hand, as I had told Stu, there's been past elections where it was, you know, selectmen were pretty much voted in on who they supported for the police
Or fire or whatever. Yeah.
police chief, or,
Yeah.
you know. And so it would perhaps take some of the politics out of it. On the other hand, as a selectman, I feel like I'm getting further and further removed from what goes on in town. And how do I hold on to that, and as to what is the position of us as a select board? You know, if right now, if there were complaints, as, you know, this is one of the things I discussed earlier, I think when we were talking about communications, if there was complaints as to the police or fire department, we're not aware of them. As Mike said, if it gets into a personal issue, then it does need to be handled. But it doesn't mean that we can't know about things that are going on, and right now I feel like we've somewhat lost that. So, you know, I'm not throwing out complaints, I'm just throwing out thoughts. So,
Okay. I know we talked about it a lot, you know, on Monday, you and I. Further discussion?
I think, you know, as a board, we're volunteers. We're not here all day.
Mhm.
I think this is what you get. You start to feel that disconnect a little bit when you start to run it with professionals. Not to say we're not professionals, but this is not our job. We're not professional,
Right.
you know, government people, you know, operationally, from an operational perspective. So, you know, I would rather be oversight and philosophy rather than nuts and bolts. So I have no problem, although I did enjoy doing them. I always felt there was a disconnect because I wasn't working with the, you know, fire chief and police chief on a daily basis. So I would have to get input from Mike anyway, you know, and then it was about personal interactions from this board. I think if there was any complaints against fire department, police department, highway, we'd know about it anyway.
We'd know.
You know, we would definitely know about that. So, for me, I think it's starting to turn over and let us run the board from a professional perspective, from all, you know, with the proper oversight in place. We should be using Mike's skills. You know, he just celebrated his 10-year anniversary from, was it 10 years? From the Kennedy School of Government. I mean, I wouldn't even know where it is. So I think Mike has the expertise to go ahead and do that, and we'll certainly have input. I mean, we can add whatever we want to add to it. But I think, you know, Mike's working with these guys every day, and interaction there on a daily basis. Yes, the line of authority for hiring and firing, I think, in terms of police chief, fire chief, comes to us first. You know, in that regard. But, you know, obviously, we're not in that position that we would even consider that. But I think that, you know, let Mike do the reviews, and then we can certainly add our own personal piece. If we have praise, or we have criticism, or we have areas for improvement, we can certainly add it to the review. But I think this is a good transition. And this is why, you know, I think that personnel bylaw change was intended to do. Put the hands of the work into the professionals' hands.
I think a valid point, position for the Board of Selectmen is in goal setting.
Right.
You know, because you set the tone for the way that you want the town to go, and what type of town you want it to be. So it just follows to reach that goal. You set the goals for the individual department heads.
All right, any further discussion? Do we need a vote on this, or is this more of a discussion point?
I don't think you need a vote. I think it's just direction.
How you guys feeling about it?
Well, I think where this is a first time, I'll try and move it. I move that we.
It does say upon approval by the Board of Selectmen.
What does say that, Mike?
The
bylaw?
Personnel bylaw.
So.
Right, but I think we'll be approving, if you could, hold on one second on that
Sure.
thought, if you don't mind. I think we'd be approving the review.
That's what I'm,
So
that's how I
the
read
process
it.
is the process. I mean, if he has,
That was gonna be part of my motion.
was it, okay.
Okay.
To give it, we might not be a good motion, but what the heck? I move that we delegate the town administrator to assemble the review, bring back to the Board of Selectmen for feedback and input, and then deliver the review upon our approval
To
Second.
police and fire.
to the police and fire chiefs.
Second.
All right, discussion.
You want to add the building inspector in that too?
Yeah, we've never done building inspector, have we?
No, that's
No.
what I suggested.
Right.
Yes, move to add building inspector.
All right, so I'll second that, all right, so that's fine.
So just vote on the amendment.
Okay. All those in favor on the amendment?
Aye.
I did have some discussion.
Okay, discussion.
So we're voting on something for this year, but we're not really setting a policy at this time, are we? Or are we? Because, I mean, we seem to be, like, let's try it, see if it works.
Depends who's
If
in
it
these seats
works,
next year.
I guess, yeah, that's
Guess
what I'm
it
saying.
does.
If it works, we'll.
Yeah.
Right.
Depends who's in the
I
seats
I
next
look
year.
at
It'll all
it,
be-
you give me approval until rescinded.
Right.
Okay.
Right,
And-
right.
And it'll be fresh in all of our minds a year from now.
Yeah, sure, okay. Once we revisit it,
Yeah,
yeah.
yeah, I'll be watching you from TV.
All right, so, all those in favor of the amendment?
Aye.
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 Okay, all those, further discussion on the motion? All those in favor?
Aye.
What was the
Aye.
amendment?
The motion was,
Oh, the amendment was adding in the building inspector?
yes,
Right.
and the motion was
Okay, I didn't realize.
all three, police,
Okay.
fire, and building inspector
Okay, I
in
thought
there.
he just added
for
it.
Mike doing
I
it.
thought he added it to the motion, so that's another aye.
Okay, so all those in favor of the motion?
Aye, aye.
Aye, aye, aye.
Okay, thank you. All right, so Mike, you do the heavy lifting, shoot it to us for a sniff test, and then people can put comments in.
That's the real approach here, is Mike does all the heavy lifting and we take the credit. And that's really
Well,
the,
I think
the
that-
ultimate strategy that every bylaw should have a hint of.
Well, to Mike's point, it's the goal piece.
Well, that's the
Absolutely.
most important piece,
Where
there's
where
no
do we wanna
question.
see, where do we wanna see those departments?
And as you said, Dave, it's the oversight. We're still
Yeah.
overseeing it.
Yep.
Now, in terms of Mike's review, Mr. Chairman,
Yes, we
my
still,
suggestion on that would be
let him do his own review.
let Janet do his review.
Yeah, that's
and then
even
we'll
better.
approve. No. My suggestion would be that the outgoing chair get that up, because that's where the most interaction was.
Yeah.
Really?
Yes, sir.
Oh, you buddy.
Absolutely, positively. I'm gonna get a vote on this one. Yeah, I think it's the outgoing chair's responsibility. You've had the most
All
interaction.
right, I'll entertain a motion to have the outgoing chair run the town administrator's review.
Second. I mean, so moved, whatever.
So moved. I need a
Second.
second. All those in favor, oh, discussion rather.
None. All in favor? No, we good.
Just so I'll use the same approach, and I'll assemble something and give it to the board for review and input, so it'll just be
Perfect.
same process we'll use with Mike, and you guys will all approve it as a board before I deliver it. Anybody else who'd want to be there, or I guess one person, so it's not a quorum, would be,
Right.
happy to have you there.
Any discussion?
I was gonna try not to have discussion, but there is something that came to mind, and that was, we need to do most of this in open session, right? Didn't we find out? Because I thought that we were doing it one way, and then we got told, no, we need to, it can't be closed. So, could you get us
If-
clarity?
Well,
If it's just
no,
one, it's
if I'm doing them, that doesn't have to be done in.
Right.
yeah.
And if I'm doing by myself, there's no public session, but anything we approve publicly will happen in the
That, I
meeting.
guess.
That becomes a
Right.
public document.
Yeah, that's
It's a public
that's where I'm
document.
going. Okay.
So Steve can essentially have a conversation with you alone, with me alone,
Mm-hmm.
Stu, and, you know,
Thank you.
Okay, all those in favor?
aye.
Aye. All right, next agenda item, appointments and approvals. So, appointment list for review. Gentlemen, take a look at the list. Please be prepared to offer some feedback on the list. And are we looking to appoint the next meeting? I think we are, correct?
Yeah, to
Okay.
start.
Do we need to do Pam's tonight, though?
Pam?
Yes.
Yeah, we need to do Pam tonight, so there's a request from the school building committee to appoint Pam Lundquist to a term to expire on June 30th, 2015, and she is
So
the
moved.
school committee's
Designation.
representative.
Second.
All right, any discussion?
One quick question. So right now, Rob Hoover is still on the board.
He resigned.
He did, that was my question.
Right.
And first of all, thank you to Rob. He
Yes.
put a lot of work into that, so I just wanna put that, he
Definitely.
really put a lot of work into it and put his heart into it. Thank you for that, all that time.
Yeah,
And-
thanks, Rob.
And Pam is fantastic, so glad
Okay.
she's taking it.
All right, all those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Aye. Next meeting is June 9th, 2014, at 7 PM. And I just have a quick note that I just want to say thanks to Joe Molis and the crew that pulled together the first annual fundraiser for the Georgetown Lacrosse. It was over at Camp Dennison on Saturday night. It seemed like it was a good event. Everybody had a blast. It was well attended, and people seemed to really enjoy it. And hopefully, it turns into a nice annual event. So thanks for all your efforts on that. And
We need, we should have a fundraiser for parking lot lights. Coming out of there, it was like, boy, pretty scary walking back to my car. But that's all right.
well, you know,
To the woods.
nobody got eaten by a bear, so that's fine.
See,
All right, I entertain a motion to adjourn for the evening.
Someone,
Second,
All those in favor?
aye.
Aye. Good night.
Good job, Stu.